All right, which seat do you want?
Oh, I can hop on over.
Okay. That one has better light anyway.
That's fair.
Okay, I'm going to blow my nose because that's a thing that happens. Do you need a potty break or anything before we start?
Oh, I'm all good. How dare you have bodily functions?
I know.
It's like you're a human being.
My family's been shaming me for it ever since I was born. I'm starting to get used to it. All right. Could you hand me one of those lovely little Red Bulls over there, whichever one you would like?
All right. You're getting green.
All right. And
it's a very comical remote.
Thank you. When I edit it, it'll show this coming on first.
That's cute.
Yeah. And I'll take the edges off so it'll just be the gold frame.
Oh, nice.
All right. And hi, everybody. Welcome to Needs Midwest. This is our second video ever. Can you believe it? I'm like, I don't believe it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Hi, Jillian. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fabulous. So, tell me about yourself, Jillian. What makes you happy?
Art. Art is my passion.
All right.
It's my life, and my family is my life.
Aww. So, what do you do to pay the bills right now?
I am one of the co-owners of an art studio called All Glazed Up, and it is a DIY art studio, so I get to fart around with art all day.
You are an art teacher for adults.
Yes, and children.
But it's outside that school setting, but it still has that hands-on help.
And it really enables people to come into, I like to call it the artmosphere.
The artmosphere, I love it.
Where they can come in and they can just be comfortable and release their inner artist with us. It's sometimes hard to feel like you can do that in your own space without feeling like, oh man, I'm not doing this right. Or if you're watching a YouTube video, you're like, it would be nice if I had somebody over my shoulder to kind of give me some insights and some thoughts on how I could do this better. And that's what we really provide for people. We'll give them as much space or as little space as they want.
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell by my office, but I have a lot of surface space and nowhere to set anything.
Yes, I've been there. I've been there.
Awesome. So how long have you been a part of All Glazed Up?
So I started at All Glazed Up about 5 years ago.
Okay.
I was a HR rep at Pepsi, and I was doing this part-time as a sip and paint teacher. I'd been a sip and paint teacher in South Carolina before I moved up here too.
Okay.
And so I was just looking for another additional side hustle. And thankfully, it was available, and I just was working 50-hour weeks with my main job and then coming and doing 10 hours of painting if I could.
So did you buy into being one of the owners?
I did. I bought in with Angie, and we've kind of been co-owners for about a year now. And it's been awesome. It's been a great ride. We've updated things, brought things into the 21st century. So it's not so, not that it was dated by any means, but, you know, streamlined as we could.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff online, people posting about projects they've made while there, and it really seems to be a good outlet for self-care and expression that this town didn't have prior.
Yeah, and I really think if we ever rename the place, we'd call it the Art Hub, because we want people to feel like this is a place where they can make all sorts of art with us.
Yeah, not just things that get glazed and kiln.
Yes, because we are more than just a pottery studio. We do pottery, like wheel pottery, and paint your own pottery, or the bisqueware. But we also do fused glass, which is fun because I like to say that's like the easy man stained glass, because stained glass involves melting metal, and it's a little bit more in depth.
It's not in here. It's at my house.
Oh.
But I have something that I made with stained glass when I was in high school, and I still have it.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, and it's a wonderful work, and I highly recommend Visions of Light to do stained glass work.
Ooh, where's that located?
That's at the end of Pearl Street, right on...
At the top of Pearl Street?
Yes, at the top of Pearl Street, right by Fazy's.
Okay. Fazy's is no.
I know. I'm so sad about that.
I'm scheming turning that place into a training facility.
That could be cool. That could be cool.
All right. Go ahead.
But anyway, we also have mosaics, and we have tie-dye, we have spin art, we have the painting classes, and then we have board classes. And then we just launched our new thing, our splatter cave. So people can come in, and it's black light activated, so people can just splatter canvas or do a neon spin art. So lots of fun there.
That feels like an artistic smash room kind of thing.
Kind of it is. It is. Like, if you have some rage, you could definitely take it out with some paint.
You know, I had an issue in my life that I just needed to go break stuff.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what I thought I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I rented the time to go into one of the break rooms just down here downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And like 3 minutes into it, I didn't like breaking anything.
Oh, wow.
I tried finding pieces that I could use to make a mosaic.
Oh.
And I ended up leaving early and told them however much time I didn't use, just give that to the next person. So knowing that there is a place where I can have an artistic rage outlet is very beneficial to me. And I'm glad that other people know we have that as well.
Yeah, I kind of like to think of it as, have you seen Opposite Bob Ross? He's a Japanese painter. He's really hilarious.
Is everything an accident?
It's not everything's an accident with that, but instead of just being calm and relaxing, like a lot of people use Bob Ross for ASMR purposes and things of that nature, just to soothe, this gentleman is all about like putting rage in your paintings. So he's like, I call this Scream Yellow, and he like screams and he goes ah as he like paints the yellow in. So you're like screaming your pain into your painting.
Wow.
Putting the pain in painting. It's a fun clip if you ever want to watch it.
Putting the pain in painting. Okay. We're going to have to put that in a link below for that.
Yes, we should. I think a lot of people would get a kick out of that. But there's therapy to making art, as you were just talking about. You're like, maybe rage isn't the way to work through it. Maybe there's a better way to express myself and get through some of these feelings that I'm having. So
I really like doing deconstruction art. Yeah,
that's a lot of fun. I think that's just something that a lot of people should even just dabble in once or twice.
Well, it's nice to know that we have a place where the supplies are there. A person doesn't need to go to 5 different stores to find the canvases at the right price or the paint at the right price. You know, you have it all stocked there.
Yeah, and then another benefit that I've always found with our studio is a lot of people live in apartments now, and they don't have the space or have the ability to paint in their home or create these things in their home without fear of losing a deposit or getting paint on the floor or something. Or maybe you got kids and you're like, man, I don't want to bring my kids in and have them do art in my house in the middle of winter, you know? So that's where we come in. And
nice.
I joke we're like waitresses with art supplies all the time because people come in, we clean up the mess, and you get to go home and then you get your art back, you know?
Nice. That is really cool.
So
I hired a local artist, Unicycle Michael.
It's so beautiful.
To paint this mural for me.
I have seen Unicycle Michael, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very talented man.
I did not know that was his name until now.
Right there.
I see it there. But
yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to like take this with me when I leave this office. Haven't quite figured that out yet.
Maybe turning it into a print of some sort.
Yeah. Do you guys do prints and stuff at your location?
No, not exactly. We do board signs where we make your own stencil, and we can take things like a logo, anything, and we can vectorize the image and convert it into a stencil on our Vinyl Master, which is essentially a giant Cricut, and then we can print it so that you can transfer that to a board of your choice. Or actually, Nickel and Brass, I did that for their logo in their studio upstairs.
I was about to go knock on their door the other day and say, hey, anybody want to take an apprentice?
It's a good place to work. My friend Rachel there, she's an apprentice there, so
nice.
she's been doing a good job over there.
I'm pretty much underneath them, and they don't make much noise, and they haven't complained about mine.
Well, that's fair.
So now, just to backtrack a little bit, you mentioned a Cricut.
Yep.
And my non-artistic brain immediately pictured a little black thing that jumps around. So for people that may not know what it is, can you explain what a Cricut is?
So a Cricut is a device that people link up with their computers with software, and they can take an image that has been vectorized, and vectorizing means that you are taking an image and making sure that it's not pixelated or
so you can make it as big as small.
Exactly.
And it doesn't look like it's from.
And it won't distort the image no matter what.
No Mario pictures.
Yes, and a lot of people make money off of like Etsy and stuff like that, making designs that people can buy and then put on their Cricut. But the Cricut will then take that image, and you can make vinyl decals like for koozie cups or those hot drinks, or people make them for their cars, or you can make shirts. You can make an abundance of things.
Can you make stencils to like put around a room?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Awesome.
I've seen people make so many amazing things on their Cricut. So we have a Vinyl Master, which most Cricuts are about this big or this big. I've even seen the Cricut Mini, which is like this big.
I've seen them this big.
Yeah, and yeah, like this big with little sounds. But
they use this microphone.
Oh, perfection. And they have a conscience.
They are the conscience.
They are the conscience, you're right.
That's why they never shut up. Anyway.
But it's great to have a Vinyl Master that big so that we can make porch signs, or we can make signs that are like, you know, your whole family tree. I had somebody do that. I had somebody put all of their family's birthdays on a board. You know.
I've seen a lot of people around their wedding time posting that they've gone to your location to make like custom signs for directing guests and stuff like that.
Yes, they have done that. They've had the engagement signs where they have like the established 2023 and then with their new last name on there, which makes a fabulous wedding gift, because a lot of people are like, oh, did you buy that? And be like, no, I made it for you, you know, which is even better. But I like when people come in even for the bachelorette parties too, because it's nice for them to have that together bonding experience before the wedding. And then a lot of them make boards as a gift for the bride too.
And you also serve fun liquids, don't you?
Yes, we sure do. I actually was very excited. I made a new drink. It's not really a new drink, but I have a little bartending experience. Not a lot, just enough to know what tastes good and what doesn't. But
you're an artistic bartender.
Yeah, we'll tell it that.
Just don't get it confused with the turpentine and we're good.
Yeah, I was like, I would go to a real good bartender before seeing me. But anyway, I mean, I do make a good bloody. I was featured on like the Bloody Crawl from one of the bloodies I made, so
ooh.
That's a good.
Next time we have a taste test for the Bloody Marys, we're gonna have you be one of the judges.
That's fair. I personally make a good one. I don't actually like them though, because I feel like it's drinking cold tomato soup.
Okay, then you can compete and won't be the judge. We won't put you through that.
That's fair. But we have the boozy caramel cider right now.
What is it with you and caramel?
I really think a lot of people like caramel during this time of year. And also, I just personally like caramel. It's tasty.
And it's, how much are you taking with you when you leave? This is a, I don't know.
Family size?
2-pound bag of caramels. Jillian, thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you so much.
Consolation prize is that you get this entire bag of caramels that I'm not going to ever eat. And I debated whether or not to actually just have it sitting here with the candy dish top on top of it.
I'd like to thank the Academy and Werther's Original.
Oh, wait.
Werther's Original.
Right.
I'd like to thank the Academy and Werther's Original. Thank you.
I prefer Werther's second generation.
Oh. But it's always a really great experience for like the whole family, or just for work gatherings, or anybody to come in and just get comfortable and relax and have a drink and, you know, enjoy while they're making something. So
I really like that.
Yeah, most times people pick the beer or the wine, but you know, it's nice to have something a little seasonal, change it up a little bit.
Now, as staff, can you guys enjoy the beverages with your guests?
We do not, because we want to be in our tip-top shape for our guests.
No. You don't want to burn that kiln.
No, you don't want to drink in kiln. Never.
Unless you're Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, He definitely sets the mood with Ghost. I've joked with people in our pottery classes. I was like, for an up fee, I can come behind you like Patrick Swayze.
You know, I think we at least need to offer that as a photo op for people.
Yeah, you know, just have that moment. We used to have a poster up in the window for a while, but it got sun faded, and Pete was like, I don't think that's the right vibe. But Pete's
only after 3 a.m.
Yeah, yeah. Which is funny because I want to have an art after dark option start here soon. I think that would be a lot of fun so that we could do more adult art things for people. Because yes, we are a kid centralized place, but it would be nice for adults to come in and feel like they can do more risque art.
I think that a lot of adults have gone away from the artistic side of creation, like physically creating something. We've got a lot of great artists in town, but before I started hanging out with the artist crew, just talking with regular everyday folks, I would talk about, oh, I'm doing this project, and they'd look at me like, why?
Yeah.
The lawn needs to be mowed. The dishes need to be done. Why are you doing art? Because if I don't do art, I'm going to hate myself while I do the dishes.
Yeah, that's true too.
I made it heavy. Let's bring it back up.
No, but I can definitely relate to that. I definitely struggled with that, prioritizing these other things over creating. But you really need to create, because otherwise you're just going to keep pushing those thoughts and those inspirations down, and it's going to dampen it, and then you're going to be like, oh man, I just never have time to create, and you're going to burn yourself out. And honestly, art is a form of self-care because it allows you to express yourself and what's going on. Yeah. So I think it's important for people to have a place where they can create, and then they can go back home to do the dishes.
I really like that. So now it is time for a non sequitur question. If you were a tree, where would you be living?
If I was where would I was expecting the type of tree because I was like ready for that.
I know, I like to throw things out.
I was like, that was a Facebook question a million years ago. Do you remember those little quizzes? It was like, what tree are you? And I was like, a willow. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually have a willow tree on a tattoo on my back.
That's amazing, but willow trees are beautiful. But where would I be? Oh, that is hard. Because I really appreciate the maples when they change because of their vibrancy and their colors. But this girl's a beachy girl. I like the sun. I like the sand. So, I don't know. If it's possible to be a maple tree on the beach, I would be a maple tree on the beach.
I mean, the sand dunes are the North Shore. No. There's a place I went to recently that had like sand dunes. Like it was all grassy and trees, and then all of a sudden there's sand and a big, huge lake. It was somewhere in Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan would be good for that. And then Superior, Wisconsin, where some of my family lives, that would be good for that too.
I've been to Superior, Wisconsin twice.
Wonderful, yeah. So it's a superior city.
And the puns. I love
yeah,
it.
those come for free if people come to visit. They'll get tons of those, whether they want them or not.
Yeah, I'm the Punisher.
That's awesome.
Now, can I ask you about some of your own artistic expressions?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so tell me about some of these tattoos you have.
Well, this is from my friend Abby. She was an apprentice recently. This is just a phase. It's mental health awareness.
I love that. And it's got the moons changing through their giving and waxing phases.
Yes, and then this is a tattoo that I drew myself, and it was hard to find a tattoo artist that would put it on me. I got this as soon as I was 18. This was to represent my father who died when I was 2. I put his name in the branches.
Oh,
Michael.
Wow.
Wolfley. I don't know if you can see it after I put it
I can now, yes.
And then I've got my paint palette.
Ooh, that was really cool.
Also by Abby Juen, very talented. I love her stippling style. It always looks super good.
And where can somebody find Abby Juen?
She is at Black Widow in Holman.
In Holman, okay. We'll put that in the link to below.
And I was like, then we have some of Rachel's creations. Rachel's upstairs. So these guys, these 3, are very special to me because they are from Teen Art Camp. I got a roller skating dinosaur and a derpy snail and this derpy cat because Teen Art Camp, we had Abby June and Rachel Hanke come in to talk to kids about art in the future, like for career purposes. And that's one of the things that I want for Teen Art Camp, so that kids have the opportunity to see that when they grow up they can be an artist. There is ways that you can make a living through art.
I wanted to paint for Wizards of the Coast when I was a teenager.
Oh, that would have been really cool.
Instead, I'm just friends with a bunch of them.
Well, you know.
Hi, Stan.
But these three are very special because these are tattoos that the kids designed on a flash sheet, and then I got them physically tattooed on me.
That's so great. Do the original artists, did they get to see that moment or be aware of it?
Yes. So, and I actually have a picture of Emma pointing to this tattoo, being like, "Oh my gosh, I made that." And then I got Bold and Brash because if you're a SpongeBob fan, you're familiar with the reference with that. SpongeBob, Squidward goes to be an art teacher for a hot minute.
Oh.
And he was trying, this big famous art collector comes in and wants to buy the art, and he's showing all of his great art, which is Squidward styled, which honestly, shout out to the SpongeBob creators always making elaborate pieces of Squidward art. Like, if you watch SpongeBob, I'm not sure if you do, but if you watch SpongeBob episodes, if you look in the background, you're like, how much elaborate time are these people spending making Squidward in these different types of, like...
Because he does a bunch of different, like, self-portraits, right?
He does, and he does, like, pointism, he does cubism, he does, like, impressionism, he does, like, all these different ones. So shout out to the artists for the storyboards for doing that. But anyway, Bold and Brash was... when he's like, what about this painting? I call it Bold and Brash. And the guy's like, more like belongs in the trash. Then the janitor takes his painting and throws it in the trash. But it was just funny. And then a big inspiration, because I've got a lot of Studio Ghibli, I've got Calcifer.
Calcifer!
This is from Rachel Hanke, again, upstairs.
I love it.
And then I've got the mouse, and I've got the soot spirit and the mushroom.
That's the fat baby.
Yeah, he converts, and I was like, I'm trying to angle it for the video.
We'll put pictures up.
But and then I've got the soot spirit from Abby June again.
Nice.
My friends were learning to tattoo, and I was like, go ahead, test on me. I'm fine with that.
That's great.
I will be their canvas for a change. So.
Nice. Now, I keep noticing this one.
Oh, yes. So, this one was from Abby as well. Everyone knows what the semicolon symbolizes, usually with a tattoo. Do you know what the semicolon?
It just means like a pregnant pause, right?
Yes, a pregnant pause, and that there's more to come. So, most people...
More will be revealed.
Yes. So, most people that have struggled with depression and had suicidal thoughts get the semicolon tattooed on them. And I've struggled with depression most of my life, but art has always been the reason for me to kind of continue aside from my family. So that's where I have this, because it's a reminder for me that through the colors of everything that I've gone through, there's still more to come.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're able to freely talk about it.
Well, mental health is so important.
Yeah. I grew up in a generation where we don't talk about such things.
No.
And for anybody that couldn't hear that, I whispered the words, we don't talk about such things.
We don't talk about Bruno or emotions.
I shouldn't have talked about Bruno.
No, I feel that me personally going through even my artistic journey and some of my own art that I've created outside of stuff, and I definitely find that I make more art for work than for myself lately, but...
It's an outlet.
Yeah, and the art that I've created has been very crucial to me and important for me and my mental health, and I think it's very important for people to feel like they can come to a space where they're safe, not only for mental health safety, but for LGBTQ plus safety. And I put those stickers on our windows too because I wanted people to know.
Nice.
Because we live in a purplish part of Wisconsin, but I want people to know that no matter what you're going through, you're safe with us.
They actually showed PBS Wisconsin did a showing at the Rivoli Theater of Wisconsin Pride.
That's awesome.
Talked about the history of Wisconsin in relation to LGBT history. Did you know that Wisconsin was the birth home of the first ever black and gay Olympic winner?
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. How is that not advertised more,
Well, because of the culture of the people that talked at the time.
Yeah, that's true too.
But historians have been going through, and because of their own personal relations to that kind of story, they've been able to dig down, do the interviews, find the information, and put it out there for the world.
Yeah.
because people are actually now talking about it.
Well, that's really cool to find out, though. Man, an Olympian.
Yeah.
You know, painting used to be an Olympic sport.
Really?
Yeah. I think, I was like, I want that to come back. I really do. I want to see people, like, epically paint quickly, or, like, see what they can do in an hour, or just have them check back in between diving. Like, they're still painting. It's 4 hours later, but they're still painting. You know?
That's really cool.
I think that would be funny to see that come back.
I've always wanted to be in one of those actual rooms that has like a table with boxes on it covered in like red velvet, and there's a naked person sitting and everybody's around.
So that's something that I wanted to do with art after dark eventually. I don't know if it's something I can do, and I gotta look into like the
putting up curtains or paper on your thing.
Yeah, and like the requirements that come into that and whatnot. But I think that would be something, because anatomical painting is very important.
Yeah, I still can't really draw hands very well, and they're not something that get clothed very often.
Yeah, hands are hard. Hands are hard. And they're not my favorite, but I feel like after a while I've kind of managed the technique for making hands.
Most of mine are just like hands in the pocket.
Oh, yep, that's the classic, or the hands behind your back, or the cross arms so you can't see nothing.
For a while I couldn't draw faces very well, so all of my bodies not only had their hands behind their back, but they all had a brown paper bag.
It was marshmallow before it was cool. Instead of a marshmallow, it was a brown paper bag.
Nice. All right, so we have been talking for about 20 minutes right now. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you want to bring up and share that hasn't already happened?
I'd really like to talk about Angie, my business partner.
Yeah.
She fell into this, and honestly, I love Angie so much. She is such a light and a life for All Glazed Up. She is the whole reason that it continues and it thrives. I like to say that she's the cog in the machine.
Oh.
Because she doesn't consider herself an artist, which was a big, I'm like, Angie, you are an artist. What you're doing right now, the behind the scenes stuff for making other people's art complete, is art, So, because like she felt like her clear glazing people's stuff and firing it in the kilns, and her, sanding people's wheel pottery pieces to smooth the edges for them so they don't get sharp pottery back, or her making sure everyone's pieces look great and they match, and her, coming up and just socializing with people and all that. And I've seen her slowly come out of her shell too, where she'll make a painting, and she does a phenomenal job, and anytime she does, I'll post her on social media, or anytime she'll make a pottery piece or something. But I just think, a lot of people don't think the labor part of it is art, but it is, because you can't have that without it,
I can't make this gold frame unless I actually go to the place on Marketplace that has one, and then go and buy and paint it. There are a lot of running arounds that you have to do in order to do even a single art project. You guys have it all in one place.
Exactly, and Angie is the powerhouse that keeps it all going for the whole thing.
I look forward to meeting her.
Yeah. Oh, she had her niece's house, like the mold like collapsed on her bed, so she needed to watch her niece today. So yes, and she has a play tomorrow. She's an avid play watcher.
I am going to a musical tomorrow.
Ooh, you might see her. I don't know.
Rocky Horror.
Oh yeah.
News Theater.
I wanted to go see that really badly. I hear you get to yell at the audience, or the audience gets to yell at the actors.
Nice.
I was like, that seems like a fun experience.
My first video, I actually interviewed Vicki Elwood, the owner of the
News
Theater.
Oh, awesome. Angie and Vicki are very good friends.
Nice.
Yeah, they've known each other for a very long time.
That's really cool. So, what a small community we have here.
Yes, and Angie's lived here most of her life, so she knows a little bit of everybody.
And how long have you lived here?
I've been here about 5 years.
Okay.
So I moved up here from South Carolina. But then before that, I lived in Rochester, Minnesota. But then before that, I lived in North Carolina, in Yadkinville. Yak, like a yak, and then inville.
Yadkinville.
Yeah, Yadkinville. But you gotta say it with the southern twang. Yadkinville.
Yadkinville.
There you go. But I've lived pretty much all over. I was born in San Diego. My parents were in the Navy, so I've
I'm a
lived.
Navy brat too.
Oh yay, Navy brats unite! So you know where it's like to live a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, my father was a lieutenant commander in the Navy,
Oh, nice.
and so I was born in Great Lakes Naval Base
Yep.
in Illinois, and then the first 2 years of my life, I was in Hawaii. Actually, my father was a Seabee.
Oh my gosh, awesome! Do you know Britt from? She was there at the art show with Lee that you were at as well. I don't know if you recall it. The main
event space.
Yeah. Well, anyway, her name is Brittany Jones. She was in Hawaii for a good chunk because
Nice.
she's also a Navy brat, but she's also in our art community here.
Nice.
But that's really cool. I like to joke with people that I was technically in Hawaii because that's where I was conceived. So, but they moved to California before then.
So where was your dad stationed back then?
My dad was stationed a little bit everywhere. My dad and my mom were both in the Navy.
Ooh, still active?
My father died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Which was with the tattoo.
You know what? I apologize. You did say that.
That's okay. That's okay. So, my father died when I was 2, but he was a Navy diver. He used to cut up old World War II ships, and unfortunately, I don't know if you've seen those commercials. It's like, if you have mesothelioma. My dad was actually one of those people.
Oh, wow.
So they knew there was asbestos in those ships, and they did not disclose that to my father or his diving partner, and they both had cold symptoms. And then they went into the doctor, and they're like, you have stage 4 cancer, and you have 3 months to live. So that's kind of devastating news. Anyway, happier note, segueing.
Did the Navy help pay for anything?
Yeah, they offered, it's called DIC, and they helped pay for some of me and my siblings' schooling for a while and things of that nature. Like, sorry we killed your dad, kind of a thing.
I mean, that's yeah, I mean, I'll at least take it.
No, it's like, it's something, right? But then my mother was an intelligence specialist in the Navy, so
Nice.
She still has some things that she can't talk about until she's 75 years old.
Why 75?
I don't know, that was just the rule the Navy has. Like, after a certain amount of years, like, the information that she had seen is no longer classified anymore. So I thought that was kind of cool.
So what I'm hearing is we're gonna have your mom on the show on her 75th birthday.
Yeah, we might hear some things that I don't know what the Navy knew, but anyway. But my parents were stationed everywhere: Hawaii, Ohio, Virginia, California, New York, a little bit of everywhere. So we ended in Ohio. And then my mom, after my dad passed, we moved a little bit everywhere after that. So just kept moving. I like to move.
I also consider myself nomadic.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to go new places, but I really feel like I've put down roots in La Crosse because it's a pretty wonderful town, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, I am a mom.
Ooh.
And my wife and I have 3 kids, and I have my eldest daughter, my middle daughter, and my youngest son. But we've really put down roots here, and they really like their school, and, I like that I am my own boss, so I can spend more time with them, even though, and then my wife works part-time now so that she can spend more time with them. And it's just all in all, I feel like I don't need to move as much anymore because I'm here now. So this is kind of like where I'm settling, at least for the next 30 some odd years probably. So
I feel that.
It's a good town. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's getting better and better, 5 and below. No, I'm just kidding.
I grew up in this area.
Yeah.
My father went into the reserves when I was about 4 years old, so I had preschool and kindergarten all my formative years here in Wisconsin. And I moved to Seattle in 2008. And I couldn't wait to get away from La Crosse. La Crosse represented all these horrible things, these bad experiences. But when I came back, I felt so at home. Not just with my family, but even with the new people that I met once I came back. Just having a different perspective of the world helped me appreciate what we have here in this town.
Yeah, we really have a lot. We've got like the amazing landscape here. We've got the bluffs, which are just scenically beautiful.
We got hiking trails. We got the Mississippi.
The wildlife alone, like the fact you drive down the highway and you're like, oh, an eagle holding a fish, like you're
when I lived out in Seattle, my ex-wife was just like, oh, an eagle, and I'm like, they're gonna crap on my car.
They got big ones too. But it's like, I remember visiting friends in New York, and they're like, let's go to Benson's Farm, Jillian. And I was like, I see cows every day. I'm not paying $50 to see a cow. I'm not. I literally have National Geographic in my backyard. And I shit you not, I saw a freaking falcon pick up a bunny and just, fly away one day while I was brushing my teeth.
Where do you brush your teeth?
But that was, in my house in Minnesota. That's just what the Midwest is. It's a nice combination of, city and rural life, and that's the best part of La Crosse. You can drive an hour or 2 hours this way and you go to Madison, but with a bunch of corn and cows in between. You drive 2 hours this way, you'll get to Minneapolis, corn and cows in between,
Corn and cows is a popular sightseeing attraction.
Yes, absolutely. You can see how many cows you see. Some of my friends came out from Florida and they were just shocked at how big our cows were too. They just couldn't get over it. They're like, your cows are huge. And I was like, that's a normal cow.
How big are your cows?
There must be little anywhere else.
I think they're confused. That's a goat.
Yeah, no. But I mean, most other people don't realize what we're used to here in the Midwest.
So now, speaking of here in the Midwest, and we're talking about environment and culture, in the other areas that you have lived, have you seen anybody doing this kind of art space, this kind of outlet for people?
No, I have not. Honestly, that's my favorite part about being where I'm at, because All Glazed Up is the perfect place to do all the medias. Most times people have these medias split up into their own studio space because by itself it is a handful, Most times they're just a sip and paint, canvas and Chardonnay or Pinot and painting, And that's where I worked at Uptown Art in South Carolina. And that was just a sip and paint studio. That's all it was. And then, there's pottery places just here which specialize in pottery, Shane, who owns the La Crosse Clay Center, and he's really great for people that want to learn more extensive pottery techniques and more not exclusive, what's the word I'm looking for?
Extensive,
thank you. Yes, it's just more in-depth learning. And I joke with him, I was like, we'll take all your beginners and all your kids, and then we'll send you all the people that want to learn more, because not a lot of people do as many things as we do. Within 90 miles, there's not anything remotely near us. The closest thing is a paint your own pottery studio in Appleton.
Before All Glazed Up opened, because I've lived in this area for a while.
Yeah.
Came back in 2017, and my husband wanted to get back into doing pottery.
Yeah.
And we were trying to find local artists that would be willing to rent their kiln space and time.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find anything. The only person we found that owned a kiln in the area did not feel comfortable because she had no idea who we were.
Oh, well, we offer that actually for people. We allow people to do open studio with us, so if they wanted to create something on their own, if they have wheel experience, they can, or if they have a wheel in their own home. We just ask that you buy the clay from us, because we've had incidents where people bring in outside clay and we didn't have the source, and then it blows up, and then it takes other people's pieces out in the kiln. So that way it's just a security feature to make sure that we know where this clay came from, you can make something with it, and then we'll put it in our kiln again. So
we used to have the big giant trash can on wheels full of clay in
awesome.
art class when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And they would have people take out and make stuff, but instead of kilning,
they're kilning it every day.
They put it back in the bin. with all wetness.
Yep.
So by the time I got it, it had like hairs and string in it, and I'm like, well, I mean, that's gonna hold it together better.
The best part is the hair will burn off in the kiln, because kilns get up to an average of 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So.
And what temperature can a human hand handle?
I think most human hands can't go above 100. So that's why people are like, man, why does it take so long to get our pottery back? And I was like, I'm going to be putting up a process sheet so people understand. But like, wheel pottery needs to be bone dry before the first firing. So that takes about 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, depending on how thick their pieces were. Because if it's not bone dry, it has even a hint of moisture in it, it will explode.
Because it like bubbles and boils?
Not that it bubbles and boils, but it makes the clay expand to a point that it will explode like that. It needs to be bone dry. Then once it's blow dry and it goes through its first firing, then we wax the bottom so that we can do dip glazing, so that we'll dip glaze all of these people's pieces with the color glaze that they chose, because we have an assortment for people to pick. And then we'll put it in for its second firing, and then the process is done. But then a lot of people also need to recall that there are people in the queue in front of them as well. So that adds time. But I think if people understood how long it takes to dry out wheel pottery, then they wouldn't be like, I was supposed to get my pottery back in 2 weeks. And I was like, that's not how it works.
I envision a tiny little comic strip with the storyboard boxes.
That would be really cute. I actually really like that idea, and I'm probably going to do that now. You did. So,
all right.
But that's pretty much what All Glazed Up is, and it's honestly been my life, and I love that I got to pursue a life of art. You know, that's what I've always wanted to do, and I always wanted to be a teacher, but I found out they don't make any money. Not that I make much money.
I'm married to one, I vouch.
Yeah, which honestly teachers should be making a hell of a lot more money, like way more money, because they
should also have free mental health options and opportunities.
Yeah, because some of these kids that come in, oh my gosh, and then they got to take on that mental burden too. But additionally, it's a lot today to take care of, 20 plus students as a teacher. But I won't get into that. I won't get into my personal opinion.
I'm a substitute at my husband's school, and I have zero classroom management skills whatsoever. I just stand there and they ask me questions, and then the teacher comes out and says, no, your guys are being loud. And everything's fine.
Then everything's fine. I was a teacher's aide for a long time, so I probably had 8 years of being a teacher's aide, so I knew what it was to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a teacher. But now I get to be a teacher, but on my terms. I don't have to meet a curriculum. I can set my own terms for what I want to teach people and what I want people to learn. And that's why I also like the kids in teen camp so much, because then they get to just learn art in a non-curriculum base, if that makes sense.
Nice.
So, but I love what I do, and I hope other people will come in and love what they do too.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So now I'm going to change the topic.
Oh, okay.
We are going to talk about lacrosse in general.
Yeah.
As a resident of lacrosse, one of the things that I am trying to do with this show is also not just get out the personal stories of the people living and creating this healthy atmosphere, but also the people living in it and the people that may not be able to access it.
Mm-hmm.
People with financial hardship, people currently experiencing the homeless condition. As a citizen of lacrosse, do you have any experiences or observations with how the homeless community is treated by their peers, or any ideas of how you think we could better take care of each other?
I do. We've had firsthand experience several times with the homeless, because we are a downtown business. And
you've got those cut-in way door frames where people have that eave to be under.
We do. We've had people duck in there for the rain. We've had people come in and ask if there's anything free to do. And I usually give them some paper and some crayons and coloring pencils. And I was like, yeah, go ahead, create something,
Sometimes it's just being able to have
just a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, I did have another woman that we let her take a couple pieces of candy, because we offer candy for people, but then she kept coming back and she's like, we say 1 or 2 pieces for people, but then she was doing this with the bag, and I was like, okay, I'm sorry.
I've done that with ketchup before.
I was like, I understand where you're at. I can't feed you all the candy that we have,
Well, it's very important and healthy to be able to set a boundary with somebody.
Yeah. And we've had other situations where we've had somebody in the dumpster, and breaking into our bags and like pulling out the paint, and then they actually put a bunch of handprints on the back of the building. So, which is fine. I don't think the Fortneys mind that much. But my first-hand experience with it has been rough because I see these people, and it's sometimes hard because I have to protect my employees in a way, because I'm not saying that every person that deals with homelessness deals with addiction, but one of the people that was in the dumpster was dealing with an addiction of some sort.
Whether or not the person you're interacting with has that, you still have that slight similarity that brings up this memory of other stuff.
Yes.
It's a natural human response to make associations and connections.
Yes, and you can feel for these people, but I also have to keep my employee safety in mind. I have a minor who works for me, and now I don't let her park in the parking garage anymore, because a lot of these people that were in the parking garage were following her and asking her for money. And I was like, she's 16 years old, she's got a part-time job, she's not going to have any money, guys. I feel for these people, I really do, and I wish we could do more, because I feel like La Crosse, from other cities that I've lived in, isn't offering enough for its homeless people.
I agree completely.
I don't think it's fair to keep asking them to move all the time. I don't feel like, I understand that the park is the obvious option for anyone homeless, because if I was homeless, that's what I would do. There's
Go
water.
put up a hammock.
Yeah, there's water, electricity, there's shade. Those are the things that you kind of need to make it work. And downtown is the place to go for being able to have access to the bus lines and things of that nature, so that you can go other places with what you do. I think the biggest struggle that I've seen personally with homelessness is that when you lose your job, then you start incrementally losing other things. And these people that are like, oh, just go get a job. I was like, okay, so if somebody came in off the street and they're dirty because they don't have a home, they don't have a shower, they don't have nice clothes on because they're wearing the same clothes that they have, you're going to give that person a job? When the standard for people getting a job is looking clean, looking fresh.
You have to already have resources before you can provide for your own.
Exactly.
And that's not possible.
And it's so infuriating when people yell, go get a job, because that's not the answer here. These people need other resources to help them. And especially since we live in the Midwest, when it's cold, it's awful. And I see this poor gentleman, it's been 2 winters now, and I've given him a few things a few times now, like those hand warmers and a gift card to Subway so that he could get some sandwiches. But he lays by the mailbox, and I've seen him time and again there.
I know who you're talking about.
Every winter, and it's sad because he's still there. And there's I feel powerless in what I can do as a personal citizen. And I heard about the hotel situation and how that didn't work out.
I worked there, actually.
Yeah. And I've heard they had their camp, as they crudely put it, over at the one park, and then they have another camp that's kind of over by the fest grounds.
And then all of a sudden bulldozers showed up, and you can't live here anymore.
And it's, where else will they have to go? And I don't feel like the city is offering enough options to care for the homeless in this time. And it does affect small business owners, because then they're downtown and they're looking for temporary places to stay, like in my business's dumpster, or in, the little crevice to kind of break the wind, or they'll come in because it's cold outside. And of course, I'm not going to turn these people away, because I'm a human being, and I'm not going to say, no, you go back out there in the cold, you horrible little so-and-so. That's terrible. Why would anyone do that?
I actually used to have to do that.
It sucks, because I don't think any person deserves bare minimum care, And I'm trying not to get political, but the fact that the U.S. was the only state or only country that voted against human right for food, like food being a human right in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah.
That is something I am going to be looking up.
Yeah, it's when the UN got together and everything, it was probably a couple of months ago, the U.S. was like, yeah, food's not a human right, that's fine. And I'm like, oh, the rest of the world is like, yes, food is a human right. The U.S. is like, nah.
Wow, Biden, I just lost a teensy bit of respect for you.
Yeah.
I purposefully try not to know too much about politicians, so that
I
don't...
really try not to watch the news in general, but it's disheartening to see that, I understand that people need to make a living and people need to make money and profits, but I also feel like humankind is not going to survive if we don't start caring for each other and caring for the planet that we're on.
I absolutely agree. And one of the goals of Needs Midwest is to help break down the stereotype of what a homeless person is.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be bringing some of them in. We're going to get their personal stories out.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm doing with my nonprofit Needs is our goal is to purchase land and provide free, non-hurdled housing to individuals experiencing economical and homeless conditions.
That's amazing. That would be that's a solution right there, though. Like, you see the problem, you're coming up with a solution.
I just got to become rich and famous so I can fund it.
Make him rich and famous. No.
I thought about doing viral things where I just put a bunch of videos asking for some rich person to reach out to me, and then I finally say, hey, John Bon Jovi, can you buy me land so I can give people places to live?
Please.
Bon Jovi's actually a really good guy. He owns
Yeah.
restaurants that have $0 on the menu. People can come in and eat what they need and donate what they have.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
We need something like that here in La Crosse.
I think so too. And Wait for Food Pantry does a really good job for people in need, but I do think we need more.
The Salvation Army does breakfast, lunch, and dinner
Mm-hmm.
for the community. However, they put some restrictions on what mental state a person can be in when they come in. So if somebody that has a problem with alcoholism can't make it through a few hours and not drink, they won't be able to go have lunch. They won't be able to go have a place to stay that night.
And that's really hard because it's not giving them the resources to get over the addiction either.
They're helping a lot of people.
Absolutely.
But there's still that handful of the community that their needs are still not being met.
Yeah, I can see that. Man.
You are valid. I don't care who you are, where you're from, how much money you have, what you've done in the past, who you may have hurt, who you've worried you've hurt. I still love you. You still deserve food in your belly. And we're going to keep trying to make this town someplace where not only can you have your emotional needs met by doing wonderful art, but you're also going to be able to have a place to go to hang it up. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to get teary-eyed now.
Oh, thank
Can I hug you?
For having me. Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Nice spending time with you.
Yeah.
Would you like to turn it off?
Sure. It's such a fun button. Did that do it?
After the fact, I'll have it zero in on that, so it's not actually going to work. That's just a prop.
Oh, that's fair. I'm like...
Yeah, that's just a stage prop.
I was truly wondering if it was going to go boop.
After the fact, it will.
That's still pretty cool, though.
Awesome. Thank you. It was
Thank
so
you.
great interacting with you.
Yeah, and it was good to know you more, because I kept seeing you all these different places, too.
After I get this edited and posted, I will send you the link directly, and you can share it with whoever you want.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm going to go turn it off now.
That's fair.
Oh.